welcome back to the Samantha Show. I'm your host, Samantha. You can call me Sam. Just don't call me Sammy. And I am here with a special guest today, another coworker. This should just be the Sam and Coworkers show, I think.
Yeah, honestly.
But I'm here with Lindsey. Lindsey, say your last name.
Quijano.
Quijano Anderson. That's how we know her.
Yes.
Yes. And Lindsey is a master trainer with me on the education team at CycleBar, and we're going to talk about all the fun things. And I'm really excited to have Lindsey on this call. She's actually a former lawyer as well, which I know we just talked to Andrea a couple weeks ago. I guess everybody wants to stop being lawyers and start working in fitness. It's like a thing.
That's real life.
It is real life. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but Lindsey has this really great concept and topic for us to talk about: coaches needing coaching. And we're going to dive into that. But before we do, it's the 3 things that you need to know. Have you been sitting on these 3 things, Lindsey? Like, have you had them lined up ready to go?
Sort of. There was one that's like relatively like new information, but the others are things that I have wanted to bring to light.
Okay. All right. So give it to us. What's the first thing that people need to know?
So the first thing, this is the new one, and this is a little bit selfish in a way, but Transylvania University, my alma mater, it's a small private school here in Lexington, Division III athletics. The women's basketball team currently is the defending national champions, and they have the longest active winning streak of any NCAA sport, regardless of division or gender. So they're currently at 64 straight wins, and that's the longest active winning streak in the NCAA right now.
Wow. Admittedly, as someone who lives under a rock when it comes to sports, I did not know this.
It's pretty cool. And they're playing tonight in the Final Four against NYU. So fingers crossed the Pioneers pull it off. So, yeah.
Stupid question. This will be televised, right?
Yeah, I think it will. I think it's live streamed. I don't think it's actually on network television, but it is live streamed. So yeah, we are technically, I think, ranked number 2 in the country. NYU, the team we're playing tonight, is ranked number 1. So it should be a pretty good game.
Well, this is very exciting. So I'm going to have to follow up to see how this all plays out. This is the kind of stuff. These are the kind of things that like my dad lives for. Like I feel anything that makes history, or is like record breaking, like is
and
something
it's
that is
History Month. I was like, women's sports, like it's relevant.
Perfect. It's so relevant.
Yes.
I love it. First thing we need to know. What's the second thing that people need to know?
Second thing people need to know is that dog shows are just like beauty pageants.
Go on.
I also thought this was relevant for us. I have dogs that are in dog shows, and you do beauty pageants.
Yes.
So I actually have my 2-year-old puppy is in a dog show this weekend. We have 2 Vizslas, which are short-haired upland bird dogs. And they are both conformation show dogs, like all the things where you prance around the circle like you see on the television. The outfits are just as bad in person as they are on TV.
And do you have those? Do you have those outfits?
I do not have those outfits. I do not show my dogs. Somebody shows them for me.
Oh, I'm like, why are there no pictures on the internet of you in this outfit?
No, those don't exist for a reason. But yeah, and everybody talks mad-ish about other people's dogs. And like, you'll see and you'll be like, look at her dog over there. Oh my God, I can't believe that she chose to wear that. That dog looks mangy. Like just talking mad about each other. And it is like, if you've ever watched the show Toddlers and Tiaras, replace the children with dogs. And that's a dog show.
I had no idea it was so full of drama.
It is. The drama's real.
I think it's like competition nature in general just brings the worst out in humans.
That's so true. And then the dogs can't speak for themselves. So, you just double down.
Are there different divisions? So when you do a dog show, speaking of the comparison to pageantry, is it like one activity, like one lap around and then they are on that stand? Is there like I just sounds silly. Is there like an interview portion where you got to share a little bit about your dog, or like what does the dog show consist of?
No, that's a good question. So, first of all, every breed is separated by age and gender to start with. So, like
Okay.
all the boys go against each other, all the girls, and then you filter it out until you have like the best of breed of each breed. And then that's what you normally see on TV. You skip
Okay.
all the pre stuff. And then I guess what you would liken to the interview portion is when the judge comes over to go over your dog. So, you have to stand your dog up. It's called stacking, and you have
Okay.
to pose them in a certain way according to like their breed standard, and the judge comes over and he like feels their back and their hocks and their private parts, and they look at their teeth, and so they like judge them all according to like a set of breed standards, and that's how they pick the best, and then they tell you to run around to watch them move. So yeah, I guess the interview portion would be like the invasive detail, like of going over the
Sure.
dog, you know.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I love
Yeah.
it. The more you know. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the third thing that people need to know?
So the third thing that people need to know, if you have spent any time with me at all, you know I love a good curse word. And there is research that shows that if you curse, you can withstand, like you have like a 33% higher pain tolerance. So you
Mm,
can be physically uncomfortable for longer periods of time if you curse. So I love a
amazing.
good curse word.
That's girl, me too. Well, me too. And I've been trying to like filter myself. Speaking of getting into pageantry, like really trying to like edit myself, but like lately it just comes out. But I did. This is good to know because I just took my Friday morning 5:30 a.m. classes, and we're making them explicit. So that means we can go a little harder, a little longer, a little more intense
Exactly.
there with all those,
Yes. Yes.
all that
Just all
language.
the language, it'll make it better. It'll make it better.
I'll never forget my nana one time taught me when I was very young. I had hit my toe on something or whatever it was, and I mean I was I mean I had to have been like 7 or 8, like just very young. And I remember her. I was probably in tears, saying something like, "Sometimes you just have to say shit." Like she's like, "Ah, shit." I was like, "Am I allowed to?" so
That is so
so
funny.
Nana knew. Who
Yeah.
knew? But
Thanks,
um
Nana.
Thanks, Nana. All right. Well, those are really great things that we need to know. But now, Lindsay, I want to get into our conversation here. So tell me just the brief rundown because, Andrea and I did dive in deep into this idea of moving into
Yeah.
a field that you are more passionate about versus one maybe that feels more acceptable by society or whatever that may look like. But do tell me a little bit about your history, how you kind of got into the role, because we're going to talk about coaches and coaching. So I do want to know how you got into this role that you're in today.
Yeah. So Andrea's story and mine are similar in a lot of ways. But I mean, I've been an athlete my entire life. I grew up playing every sport imaginable, tried it all. I was convinced at the age of like 8 or 9 that I was going to be a WNBA star. But also, if you know me, I'm like 5'2" and I have zero hand-eye coordination. So
Yeah,
that
see,
didn't
I
really
didn't
work
know
out.
this. I didn't know you play. I did not know this about you that you played basketball.
I did. I loved basketball. I played like 1 year of AAU basketball, but I tried out for the sixth grade girls team when I was in middle school and got cut, and it was like the worst day of my life. But in around then, like 11, 12 years old, I started really getting into the sport of swimming, and found out that if I worked hard enough, I was actually like semi decent at it. So I swam all the way through high school and then into college, and that's what took me to Transylvania. They're a D3 athletic program. So I got to continue my swimming career, which was awesome. But my entire life, I wanted to study law and eventually become the president of the United States.
Oh,
Those were
love
my
that.
Yeah,
We
those were my
could
goals.
use you right now. Just go ahead and run now. Just help us
Honestly,
all.
I'm gonna toot my own horn. I'm too smart for that. I am too smart for that. No, thank you. Um, But yeah, so I studied political science, and then I went to law school at the University of Kentucky, and loved my time there. And I took a more traditional route, I guess, than Andrea did. I started working at a big firm right out of law school. And I enjoyed the practice of law, but I was in a very hyper competitive, hyper masculine environment. And so the things that kind of turned me off to the practice of law were some of the treatment of women in the profession, and just some of the obstacles and hurdles that I was met with as a young professional that I just didn't, it made me fall out of love with the actual job. And that was frustrating. So while I was doing that, I started in the sport of triathlon. That's what I started doing after I graduated from college because I wanted to continue swimming, but I needed to find a new way to compete. So I started cycling and I started running. And then all of a sudden, during my first year of law practice, CycleBar opened here in Lexington. And I took my first class during the grand opening week, and I was hooked from the very beginning. And so started writing, like 5, 6 times a week. And about 7 or 8 months into my journey as a writer, an instructor came to me and asked if I'd ever considered auditioning. And I was like, well, I hadn't until you just said that. So tell me more. What does this entail?
The seed
Um,
plant, the seed plant. We all know about it. It's like
yes,
we're going to
yes.
plant the seed with that person right there and let it blossom into whatever it does.
Right. And, me being me, I probably would have gotten there on my own anyway, but it just happened probably sooner than I would have anticipated. But
Sure.
I auditioned a couple of times. I didn't make it the first time. We had some kinks to work out. But then by the time a year rolled around, I became an instructor. So I was teaching CycleBar on the side while working a full-time law firm job. And I got to a place where, I was teaching a couple of evenings a week. And the only thing that was getting me through my workday was the fact that I was going to get to go teach CycleBar later. So eventually, the corporate law, it just kind of wore me down. And I was in a really bad place emotionally and mentally. My mental health was at an all-time low. So I parted ways with my law firm in October of 2019. And so then we all know what happened roughly like 4 months later.
Right.
And so applying for jobs during a global pandemic is like not super productive. I was jobless. I was still teaching CycleBar, but I didn't have a full time gig. And luckily, our studio made it through the pandemic. And once we came out on the other side, I was like, let me lean into this. And I started teaching a lot of classes, kind of like Andrea. I do not advocate for anyone to teach the number of classes I was teaching. It
No.
was, I mean, wrecked me, in
Yep.
all sorts of ways.
Yep.
Um, but I became the lead instructor in our studio, and I started taking on more and more responsibilities from the business side. And eventually, our studio franchise owners, we own 6 CycleBar locations total. And so they asked me to come on and work for them full time, in like an operations capacity. And I said, why not? I have
Yeah.
all of these transferable skills from being a lawyer that I think I can still use. And this is fun. So yeah, that was almost 2 years ago. And then right around a year later, a year ago now, I was promoted to be on the education team, and now we're coworkers,
It's the
and
best.
it's just all, the best Fit Pro journey.
It is. I always love hearing everybody's fit pro journey because it's never like I feel like it's very rarely like in high school I knew that I wanted to work in fitness when I grew up. Like that was a matter of fact. Like I
Right,
always feel like people just end up in fitness full time. Like very few people. I mean some people have exercise science degrees and stuff like that and they definitely want to do something in fitness. But
right.
I know a lot of the people on our team it's like we were just getting out of some other job that just was not, not filling our cup in the same way that CycleBar does. So I love that
Right.
journey and that it led us together. And I love our friendship and getting to connect with you. And so I want to let you lead this conversation a little bit here because you brought up the topic to me. And I think it's a beautiful topic. And it's something that you said you've been experiencing recently. And as soon as
Yeah.
you said it, my brain started going with coaching that I've experienced that I think is really important stuff. So Take the charge here, Lindsey. Talk to us about coaches needing coaching.
Yes, I think this is really important. And I've experienced this in a lot of different areas of my life. So, like I said, I've been an athlete since I can remember. So, I have had coaches my entire life, whether it's, in sports or even, teachers at school, professors in college and graduate school. And then now, with CycleBar, working my way up, I've always had instructors that have mentored me and coached me in that way. And then, I started taking on coaching responsibilities as early as like my freshman year in college. I think I first coached like a summer swim team, like a country club kind of situation. And so I found that not only do I like being coached, but I love to coach others. And that's kind of like something that I think has followed me and been a theme of all of the different facets of my careers, plural. And
Sure.
like I said, I started triathlon out of graduate school because I wanted a way to continue competing and doing the sports that I loved, but just in a different way. And so
Yeah.
for the longest time, I kind of did it on my own. I went at my own pace. I used all of the knowledge that I had gained over the years of competing and training and all of that, which served me very well. And I consider myself a very self motivated person. But I just noticed over the last couple of years that something had started to not necessarily shift, but definitely feel like it was getting stale. And I found myself having less motivation to do things that were outside of my comfort zone. And just kind of, we all get into routines and
That's right.
fall into habits. I was in a place like mentally and physically where I knew I wanted to make a change and I just didn't know how to do it. Teaching CycleBar, like I'm very active, but I could just tell that I needed something different. And like I said, I didn't know what that was or how to go about it. And so a friend of mine invited me to another gym here in Lexington, and they are like a locally owned place. It's a boot camp style workout. So my best way to describe it is like if F45 and CrossFit had a baby, that's what this is.
Lovely.
Um, yeah, and I hadn't done any sort of like real strength training since I graduated from college because we did it as on our swim team. But since then, I just kind of would dabble here and there and nothing consistent.
Yeah.
So I tried out this workout. The guy that owns the gym has an incredible testimony. He was in prison for like 10 years in his younger life, like in a separate life, and kind
Wow.
of turned his life around, opened this gym, and has become hugely successful. And he is one of the most positive, encouraging, and motivating people that I've ever met in my entire life. And you can tell that he truly doesn't take anything for granted. And he
Yeah.
loves coaching people. So the moment I met him, I was like, we are the same. We have like our souls are connected. Like there's something
Yeah.
about this that feels like it's exactly where I need to be in this moment. I committed about just over 6 months ago. And I have been going, I started out like 3 days a week, and now I'm at like a solid 4 to 5. And I could not be more obsessed. It's so different than CycleBar, but it is exactly what I needed. And I feel better physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's such a release to like be able to show up somewhere and I don't have to prepare anything. I don't have to make playlists.
Amen.
Yeah, it's so
Amen.
great. It's so great because we're so used to putting in all the behind the scenes work
Yes.
when we go into our studios. And it's so nice to get a break from that and to just show up somewhere and know that the workout is planned ahead of time. I've got a coach there that's going to show me how to do it and is also going to encourage me all the way through it. And I have noticed that like I said, I feel better in all the different aspects of my own life, but I think in turn has kind of rejuvenated my own coaching juices. And like, I feel like I've been able to give more of myself to my writers because my cup is fuller now.
Yeah.
So it's been such like a cathartic and rewarding experience to like be coached again because I kind of forgot what that was like.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, especially as fit pros, we get so in the habit of like, well, we're the professionals. So we plan the workouts. And, we may even, if we do strength training, it's like on our own. If we're, we go to the gym and we do our own thing and stuff like that. But I think you're so right to be able to take or have someone else lead us through a workout. It does so much. Like, to your point, we don't have to think. Like, I
Hmm.
feel like I took some Legree classes in my area. It's been a while now, but I would always like, I feel like I almost came in with that RBF and I'd be like, look, I'm on at Cycle, but I'm not going to be on here. Like, you're getting the other side of Sam. Just tell me what to do and I'm going to like power through it and do it. But it felt so good. And then, like you said, it fills your cup. And also, I don't know, like to me, it inspires me. You hear other people coach outside of
Yes.
CycleBar, right? Like they talk about the body in a different way that you can bring into our coaching at CycleBar and what we do. And just to have somebody else guide us. And, I was thinking about this idea of like coaches being coached. And I think that's the only way we can truly continue to level up. I think when we stop being
Absolutely.
open to guidance and coaching and learning, then we're no longer going to grow. And you can always grow, but you have to be willing to try new things, have other people guide you and coach you, whether it's within your modality or something totally different.
Right. Yeah. And I think it goes like, I just think of that phrase and it's a bit extreme, but like, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Hmm.
Like, I think, like you said, I've gained like this whole new set of knowledge and vocabulary that I feel like I can use that has made my coaching experience more, and it's enriched that in a lot of ways. And the people at the gym I go to now, they're also kind of no nonsense, and I need that
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm not an excuse girly. I really try hard not to go that route, but I also know that like they're gonna kick my ass. And
Yeah.
like because that's what I'm paying them for. And it's gonna hurt, it's gonna get uncomfortable, but I'm probably gonna say some curse words and we're gonna get through it.
Because you're going to be able to withstand more pain when you
Yes,
curse it out.
exactly.
Yes. I totally agree. And I really like this idea. And, too, I feel like I've been experiencing this even in my pageant journey, working with a
Mm.
pageant coach in how I communicate with people, how I talk about myself, how I almost like I not that I need any more help bragging about myself, but in a way that is very formal and what are your accomplishments? Be proud of what you've done. This is what you could like even coaching in the pageant world, which is different than exercise coaching has been really beneficial just to continue to grow and level up with the skills in our life. And I'm a big fan of this saying, if you ain't growing, you die. And I think I said it like 2 weeks ago on somebody's post. I feel like they were kind of like, that feels extreme. I'm like, well, it's true though, right?
It's real. It's real.
It is. And I think now too, with, the fitness industry specifically is changing all the time. It's
Hmm.
changing quickly. I know we can feel it post pandemic, what's happening. And so we're in the position where like we have to be growing or we have to be exploring and seeing what else is out there so that we can bring it back to our classes and show up the best version of ourselves and share what we've learned. And so, it's just a win-win all around.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, I've experienced coaching in a lot of different areas of my life. And, I'm a big proponent of therapy. And I have
Mhm.
been actively seeing my therapist for like 6.5 years now. And we are tight, and she is the best. And I feel like that's even a form of coaching, right?
Yes.
Like learning different ways to handle mental and emotional trauma or stressors or anxiety in a way that's productive and allows you to learn through it. Like that's been my whole therapeutic journey. And I talk about my therapist all the time because I can't even begin to explain the ways in which she has helped me. But, back when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to continue down this route of trying to find another law job or pivot and go this other way. My mom suggested, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. I hired a career coach, and I met
Yes.
Yeah, I met with her for like 2 months and we really started to dive into, not just what the possible options for you are, but like, are those options even things that you care about?
Mm.
And I recommend anything like that to someone who is struggling with their professional journey. Like, it was so beneficial and I would do it again.
I love hearing this, Lindsey, because this I haven't shared anything with the world just yet, but I feel like our conversation has led to this. But I myself am wanting to get into doing life coaching as a coach myself. I could
Do it,
probably use some
girl. You'd be
coaching.
so good.
Oh, thank you. I could use a coach to help coach me on my coaching journey. I'm probably going to do that, and connect with some people. But I'm glad to hear that you've experienced that kind of coaching and you found it so beneficial, because I do think sometimes we just need that sounding board, or we need people to help navigate our thoughts. Because I think as an individual, there's often so much emotion tied to the decisions that we make in our life. And it's like you need somebody to logically sit down with you and say, let's break this down and explore it. And two, that you mentioned therapy, because I started going to therapy this year. I have been on and off, but this year I was like, I'm establishing like a relationship that is ongoing. And God love my therapist that I have now. She was like, what are your goals? Like, why are you here? And I'm like, oh no, like I need a new friend every 2 weeks to just talk to. Like
Yes,
and she's like, okay, that works. I was like, look, I don't have anything. I was like, but I might have something in 6 months and I want to make sure you're ready for it. So,
exactly.
um, yeah, so it's been really great. And I think there's like a form of coaching in that as well. So in all avenues and aspects. So, one last little question here. Would love to get your thoughts. What would you say to somebody who maybe is struggling with, I think we know where this conversation would go, but if they're like, well, I don't think I can learn anything else. Like I already know so much in the fitness industry, or like I know what I want to do with my career path. Like why should I be open to coaching, or why, like I don't know that I would gain anything from anybody else.
Sure. I think that's a great question. And, I think we all reach points in our lives, whether it's with our careers, with our relationships, hobbies, whatever, that we feel like we've learned all there is to learn. But my recommendation would just be to talk to somebody else, either in your field or outside, and, try something new, try something you've never done before, because inevitably there is a perspective, there's a point of view, there is a circumstance that you didn't think of or that you've never experienced. And we don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
Um, and you're never going to know everything.
Mm.
So there's no situation in which, you've kind of learned all there is to learn. There's always going to be something. And I think it just is all about how willing you are to continue trying new things and talking to people you've never talked to before, because everybody has a unique perspective, and it's all about asking the right questions.
It is. That's right. Well, that was a really great message, but I know I didn't open it up to your final message. Do you have anything else that you want to leave the listeners with if they could take one thing from this episode?
Yes. So I have thought a lot about this recently because, I'm a busy girly. I do not like to be bored. I program pretty much every hour of every day.
I feel you.
Um, yeah, I don't do a lot of sitting.
Yeah.
But I talk a lot, especially in my classes sometimes, about this idea of balance. And I think we use that word really irresponsibly.
Mm.
And I think we're always pushed to try to find balance, whether it's with our work and our home life, or our jobs and our mental health, or our fitness and, our the things we like to indulge in, finding balance. And I think the word balance insinuates that everything in your life deserves equal time and attention and effort. And we know that that's impossible. Like,
Mm.
there's no way to make that
Mhm.
happen. So, somebody challenged me once to think, instead of trying to find balance, what if you worked on your priorities? Because
Mm.
your priorities are flexible. Your priorities can adapt. Your priorities can change as you change, and can grow as you grow and gain more experience. So, this week or today, my priority might be catching up with some friends that I haven't seen in forever, and we stay up late and we get no sleep. And then tomorrow, I'm going to prioritize sleep.
Mhm.
So it's flexible, and I like that you're not nailed down to any sort of expectation other than fulfilling whatever your priority is for that day, week, month, year, whatever. So I'm all about trying to find priorities rather than balance.
Yes. Oh, I like that. I'm taking that. I'm bringing that into class with me next week when I need a message to share.
There you
Just kidding.
go. There you go.
No, I think that's beautiful. I really, really like that, Lindsay. I think that's a great way to look at it. And as soon as I've never heard that kind of laid out in that way, but as soon as you started saying balance, I was like, oh, I get what she's getting at. You can't give everything equal time and attention. It's just not that
Yeah,
possible.
something
So,
is always going to tip the scale,
yep.
and you can't let that completely like throw you. And if all you're trying to do is find balance, it will. And then you're just derailed. And
Yeah.
so let's not worry about balance. If your priority is one thing today, it can be something different tomorrow, and that is perfectly okay.
Amazing. Well, Lindsay, you always have a way with your words, and I always enjoy connecting and talking with you. So thank you for coming on the
You're so welcome.
podcast. And I hope everybody who's listening have a great day because you deserve it.